club members to another edition. Kyla, welcome.
Thank you.
Tango, he's over here.
He's
probably
eating the
gonna say
cork.
something in a minute. Hello, Tango.
It's the match made in heaven. We love what's in the bottle. He loves the cork.
That's
Problem
it.
solved.
Yeah, as soon as we open them, he's in a happy place. So this month we're going to look at the two amazing producers, and the theme we're looking at is the bold and the beautiful.
Yeah, over the last few months, we've been tasting a lot of different champagnes. And I have to say that these two champagnes in particular resonate with me. They leave a very strong imprint on my mind, on my palate. They were both knockouts.
They were.
We have Georges Vesselle and his prestige cuvée, the Cuvée Juline.
Yes.
And we have Louise Brison, and we've got a vintage from 2012. So two outstanding cuvées for this month. I'm pretty damn excited about this, but what they have in common, although there's many differences, they are big, bold, and beautiful.
That's right. That's what we like about them. So our first one we're looking at is Champagne Georges Vesselle. They're based in the Grand Cru village of Bouzy. They have 17 hectares of prime real estate in this spot.
That's some pretty serious real estate.
When you're looking at a couple of million euro each hectare, that's considerable. So they are renowned. This area is renowned for producing the powerful styles of pinot noir, as they're part of the Montagne de Reims sort of arch, if you look at it. It's run by brothers Eric and Bruno. And
when were they founded?
They were founded in 1951.
Yeah.
And they're third generation.
Third generation.
And they've really, focused on getting more of that powerful sort of direction in their wines, and that's what they've been known for.
Are they using barrel?
They're using a little bit of barrel. Yes, absolutely. We'll get into that in a wine tasting.
Okay, Kiri, you can guide us into this wine. I actually had this champagne first last year, the Juline, and you weren't there when I tasted it, but I said to you, this is a fantastic champagne. It's the prestige cuvée of the house, so it's the top champagne that they produce. What's interesting is that there's no definition of what a prestige cuvée is, but essentially what it is the best fruit from the best years generally, and the top release of the maison, their sort of pride and joy, so to speak.
Absolutely.
And I was very impressed with the wine.
Yeah, and I think there's something like immediately you see at the top of this, and we'll do a little close up on this for you so you can see. It's the first one I've ever seen that's got this sort of flat head. That usually the champagnes have this sort of lip, and this is completely flat. So
Blanc.
this is an old school style of bottle, and it was one of the most important things is it's aged under cork.
Yes.
So it's got the agrafe, and it's gone into the cellar, and it's got the staple that sits on the top. Very different to having a crown seal style of champagne where there's very little oxygen.
And you would only do this on a wine that was a prestigious wine that had lots of time in the cellar, because aging from cork means that the process needs to be done by hand. At some point they have to get that staple off, take the cork out, disgorge the wine by hand, no machine. So you can only make really small quantities of something that's aged under an agrafe, under cork, and you get more oxygenation within the wine, a slow ingress of air over a long time.
Yeah, and oxygen plays a really important role in winemaking in general, but for aging a champagne. What's up there, buddy?
Someone's dropped his cork
Can you
again.
drop your cork? One moment, please. Here you are. And what you get, this particular wine is actually a multi-vintage blend, and I want to sort of just tap on that for a second. There's about 5 to 10 different vintages that have gone into making this wine, and the blend is actually 80 Pinot, 20 Chardonnay. And you can see the color is actually quite dark. It's like a dark gold, and beautiful nose. It's taken a little while to open up, but you're really getting quite an expressive, rich, powerful, deep aroma.
It's big and it's voluptuous, isn't it? Give this wine some time, so open it up. You can decant it if you wish, but give it a few moments in the glass to sort of let it open up. It's the best vintages blended together and then aged under cork for a significant period of time. So it needs some time. What's the dosage on the wine, Kiri?
It's sort of around 4 or 5 grams.
Yeah.
Pretty low.
Yeah.
There's really good acid in it. You can see that chalky line that just zips across the tongue with all these lovely layered components of toast and hazelnut, cream,
Yes.
apricot,
I
all this
remember
sort of
this.
richer yellow fruit. And this is definitely a food wine.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other champagne producer that we're featuring for this month, and it's coming out to all of our connoisseurs, is from the Maison Louise Brison. And Kiri, I was lucky enough with our team, I don't know where you were.
I came in and went out because I was out and about. Man about town.
Man about town, doing important things. We did a virtual tasting with Delphine, who is the great-granddaughter or the granddaughter of the founder, Louise Brison. It's
Yes.
4th generation now. And I went through all of her cuvées. She sent the wines over from France. And I have to say, it was one of my favorite tastings. Delphine speaks about champagne with the same passion that I share. And her philosophy, her enthusiasm is infectious. And the wines are amazing. What's unique about this maison, which is located in the Côte in the south?
They're in a village called Noe-les-Mallets.
Oui.
It's a sort of an interesting double-barreled name down the south.
This is true. The interesting thing about this particular producer is that they only release vintage champagne. And she says, nature is our only master. She works very much with climate. Every year the vintage can be vastly different. She's not looking for that consistency. They have about 14 hectares of land, 70% Pinot, 30% Chardonnay, southeast vineyards, quite high up. So you've got elevation, so they've got beautiful aspect to the sun. Great maturity. Now, when you're in the south and in this region, in the Côte d'Ivoire, you're sitting on Kimmeridgian clay.
Yeah.
There's no chalk to be seen. So completely opposite terroir subsoils to Georges.
Bouzy's chalk of like pure mineral intensity, and then we've got the clay of the south.
You have got the clay. So what you get in Pinot Noir in this region is more salinity, which is interesting. But what you get in Chardonnay, which is the wine we're featuring, is a broader, more bolder style.
So that's 100% Chardonnay, yeah?
It sure is.
Wow. So tell me a little bit about this wine, Carla, because
Yes.
you've had that first-hand experience with Delphine. It's all Chardonnay from what I understand.
it is.
It's a vintage.
It's a single
so completely
vintage.
different to a multi-vintage blend over here.
We're talking 2012. So 2012 was a much lauded vintage. It had the right balance of acidity and sugar, but still very tight, very crisp, very lean. So you got great aging potential on the 2012. And I have to say, Chardonnay, crisp Chardonnay, 2012 base, 0 dosage. So not a scrap of sugar. You've got this really tight acid spine. The wine has actually been fermented in an oak barrel and aged for some time and then gone into bottle for secondary fermentation. And then 6+ years aging in bottle in her cellar.
That's pretty, that's great.
I have to tell you, you've still got this amazing spine of acidity. I reckon you would get another 15 years on this cuvee if you were to put it in your own cellar. And I would partially release them. So get a dozen and then partially release them to look at the evolution of the wine. It's got serious aging potential. I love when I put my nose in, you get sort of this clay character. It's almost like you're really reading the terroir through the wine. And
There's definitely something quite almost chewy about it.
Yeah.
And I do like that.
The texture.
The texture of it, and you feel it. There's a freshness, there's an acidity. You can see the oak integration, you can see the lees aging, but it's still so vibrant.
You're right. So it's got that slightly oxidative tertiary character in the nose, but you've still got a beautiful line of acid, which keeps the wine fresh enough. You've got big, ripe, yellow fruits, apricot, lemon curd, orange peel. You've got really beautiful, bright yellow fruit. But it's bold and delicious and gorgeous. It is 0 dosage, as I mentioned, so you've got not a scrap of sugar, and she really is presenting the vintage for a single year. The philosophy of the house is that it's all about the environment. You know, it's all about the terroir. They stopped using pesticides, herbicides, anything nasty in the vineyard in 2012, and they were certified organic in 2017. So this is the first year that Delphine has actually produced a wine that's completely free of herbicides and pesticides, which is an amazing achievement.
What's the dosage on this one?
0.
So, but it says Brut on the front, right?
Well, I think that's very confusing. So it does say Brut on the front, but on the back it does say Brut Nature, so completely absent of
0 grams dosage.
added dosage sugar.
Yeah.
But I mean, when I first tried this wine, I thought, wow, it's an absolute knockout. It's a food wine.
Yeah, right. So we need to we'll talk about a really good food pairing, which will come in the email for you.
My instant thought, it's got to be a white fish in a beautiful sauce or a veal, something on the lighter side of meat.
Okay.
But definitely a food wine. Both of them are food wines.
Excellent.
So ladies and gentlemen, you have 2 amazing champagnes this month in all of the wines, which has been many, hasn't it? We've tried a lot of wines over the past 12 months. These were 2 that really stood out. They are at the top end of the spectrum for both of the maisons. We've got the Prestige Cuvée from Georges Vesselle with Cuvée Juline, and we've got the Vintage 2012, which was really the pinnacle year from Louise Brison. 2 knockout wines, a multi-vintage, a single vintage. They have their differences, but what they have in common is that they are big, bold, and both of them very beautiful.
They certainly are. And don't forget, please share on socials. If you love the wines, if you enjoy the wines, if you've tried a food pairing, you've done something with them, let people know. Always good to see your feedback shared.
Thank you very much.
Thanks again.
We'll see you on the next episode. Enjoy the wines.
See you next month.
He's like, Dad, you dropped my cork.
Go on. We've got to get through this. Gotta get through this. Gotta get through this.
Oh, you
It's
just
okay.
dropped
You can
the
go.
cork.
You can get that. You can get that. You got pause.
Just a bit more tempo on it, Kiri. No, Tango. If you drop your cork, you get it yourself. Was he the mayor?
I don't know. You dropped the man in that. I don't. I can. I know. I love you too, mate. I love you too. Was his great-grandfather the court jester? Who knows? You got to go and just chill over here. Be cool. Hang.
4th generation,
Sit.
70 to 30,
That's it,
calcareous,
that's it.
clay bedrock,
You stay.
Cameroon, organic since 12.
Thank you.
Vintage,
Thank you. Big
nature's
good boy.
our only one.
Was he?
I think he was.
Well, let's not say he was unless we know he is.
You stay. All right, let's rock and roll.
Okay,